while Miramar have been slogging away throughout the morning and the early afternoon. Michael White, the pitcher for Miramar.
Come on now, Mike.
Foul ball. Michael White able to be rested in the game that got Miramar through to this final. They played against just a little while ago in the game that they played against United from Auckland. Michael White sat on the bank while young Marty Hamilton did the pitching and did it very effectively indeed.
Okay,
strikeout number one.
That's the first strikeout. There goes Bobby Jones heading back to the dugout. So that's the first out at the top of the first. And a good start there for Mike White. And that brings Chad Corcoran into the batter's box.
Chad Corcoran, who hails from America, is the wad of chewing baccy we talked about yesterday. 2 outs, and that's very economical pitching for Michael White to have been able to take the out off just one pitch to Corcoran. I think it might have been a dead ball, actually. It came off his foot and they were appealing about it. So I'm not sure whether he perhaps twisted his ankle as he went down first base or whether it hit him on the foot, but there's no appeal from the Cardinals side.
So 2 outs, top of the first. Into the batter's box is Jimmy Cotter, centre field.
Michael White.
1 out.
Too low. Reminding you that the ball must travel between the knees and the armpits of the batter and across home plate, which we'll give you a picture of in just a little while. Oh, that was a dropping delivery. You saw that duck down as it approached the batter, and meanwhile Cotter had committed himself to the swing. It's a good pitch from White. It's one of the best pitches he throws.
2 balls and strike on Cotter.
Michael White. A very collected fellow is Michael White. Foul ball. Ball 2, strike 2 the call.
22. 2-2.
Now you see the home plate just in front of Jimmy Cotter. You can see the slightly shiny surface. The ball must travel over that and between knees and armpits for it to be a strike. Strikeout number 2 for Michael White to end the first innings, and I must say that Michael White is starting pretty hot.
Certainly is. Just a reminder that this is the Cowans 10,000 tournament, and prize money for the final is $6,000. A split for $4,500 for the winning club and $1,500 for runners-up. So let's look now at the Miramar lineup. They have Grant Miles leading off, where he started so spectacularly yesterday. Wayne Nichols, John Joyce, Dennis Chain, Mike Nichols, John Lowe's, Paul Leonardis, designated hitter for catcher Graham Kenny, and Andy Hamilton coming into second base, and Mike White at the bottom of the order.
Now, quite interesting this, Keith. They're using Mike White in the batter's box rather than having a designated hitter in for him, such as the quality of his batting. Okay, they're using him at number 9, but nevertheless they regard him as a good enough batter to have him hanging in there for the hitting action. Number 7, Miramar's Dennis Chain. We just saw in the dugout there, the captain of the Wellington team, and has been a captain of a New Zealand side as well. Just taking a look at Dennis Chain, seeing if we can get him. There he is there, Dennis Chain. And he really got hot with the bat in the game that took Miramar through to this final, beating United from Auckland a little while ago. And Dennis Chain is highly regarded as one of the most experienced players in the country, and certainly swings the bat very well also.
So you can see there's a big interest in this final from the people of the Hutt Valley. Of course, this is one of the major softball centres of New Zealand. It has been so for decades now. And after the warm-up is completed, Miramar coming into the batting box at the bottom of the first, and the lead-off man to face Paul Magan is Grant Miles.
There's Paul Magan, the Cardinals pitcher, who has had things easy in this tournament in many respects. He's been able to have quite a few spells because doing some of the pitching for Cardinals has been their pickup player, Glenn Davis. So Magan with an arm that hasn't been tested too much throughout this tournament, and he'll certainly have enough power at his disposal to work the ball around pretty well in these breezy conditions.
Strong crosswind. In that view, it's from the right to the left. Grant Miles in the batter's box.
A nice rise ball thrown by Paul Magan in this lead-off effort of his. You saw it drift through the strike zone and then start the head uphill with a lot of backspin on it. And of course, unless the ball's met squarely, it pops up into the air. Another strike on Miles. Grant Miles, centre outfielder for this Evening Post Miramar team. Both of the lead-off batters play at centre field.
Ball 1, strike 2.
See the umpire's call in the background. Ball 1, strike 2.
Magan, ready? Wow. Magan losing just a little bit of control here. Goes for the rosin bag, and that gives him a sticky substance on his hands. It is permitted to be used. In fact, there was some question some years ago as to whether or not it was permissible, but Magan using it, as do many pitchers these days. One out.
That's Brian Green across at first base, who took the throw from Magan. And so coming into the batter's box is Wayne Nichols. As we mentioned yesterday, one of the Wellington family that's been in the game here for as long as Wellington's been strong at the sport. Third baseman, Wayne Nichols, to face Paul Magan. One out, bottom of the first, no score.
Ball 1, low and inside. Umpire Mulholland, who umpires in the valley here, calling the balls and strikes. There's a nice looking pitch. You can see that ball really climb up through the strike zone. It actually wasn't a strike, but it really does show the movement that's on the ball today. There it is again. Again called a ball.
3 balls, no strikes.
Now this is where batters often go for the next pitch. Ball 3, strike 1. Now the next pitch also will probably be very near the centre of the strike zone. There you see Wayne Nichols. The best ball to hit in softball is the one that comes up through the meat of the strike zone, just like, ooh. Now that was another good pitch. I think Nichols was expecting a rising delivery. It didn't. It ducked down at the very last moment to make it ball 3, strike 2. There's Mark Sorensen, who will be flashing the signals to Paul Magan, telling him what sort of delivery he wants next time round. Let's wait and get the signal from Sorensen as he goes into his crouch. Signals, there we go. And inside, what? Inside, all right. Far too much inside. A base on balls, and Wayne Nichols wins the safety of first base with 4 pitches that were not within the strike zone. That fellow there, Wayne Nichols, did not offer a swing at 4 of them, so there he is, safely on first.
1 out, bottom of the first, and this brings John Joyce into the batter's box, the shortstop. His last game here, he put a home run over the fence in spectacular fashion, of course. So he's in good form, John Joyce.
Ball 1. On first base is Wayne Nichols, so already Miramar in with a runner in scoring position anyway.
There's the runner on first. We'll see if he can get across to second.
Ball. Well, Magan not having much control, not as much as he would want anyway. He will be wanting to have some economical pitching performances out there in these early innings so that Miramar don't have too much of a look at him.
Ball!
Another ball, ball 3. And again, no strikes. So, Magan not starting well.
Timeout call, Gary. A bit of a word to the pitcher there.
Yeah, sure. That's what's on. He needs a bit of settling down. He's obviously a bit jittery out there, and he can blame him, knowing that all the stake money is at stake. Ball 3 with a runner on base.
Another
2
walk.
walks. Well, there's Paul Magan, and there's a man who's in trouble trying to loosen up those shoulders of his, and he won't be happy knowing that he has 2 runners on the bases. There's only 1 out, and Keith, the big thing is that if Miramar do happen to win this game against Cardinals, we're in a back-to-back situation where they have to front up against each other straight away again.
Dennis Chain into the batter's box. 1 out, remember. Runners on 1 and 2. You see Nichols in the foreground. He's on second. The top of the picture and away to the right. John Joyce on 1.
Ball. Wow, what a hit! Through to the fence. 2 runs will score. Look at Chain go. Round he goes. Joyce is cross. Chain held up on 3. 2 runs to 0. What a start.
He's done it again. Number 7, Dennis Chain.
Dennis Chain. And did he sail it out to the outfield? The pitch came out to right field. The outfielders scattering to try and get the ball, but no way. And Chain, there he is, safe on third base, and 2 runs have scored. Miramar running hot. Well, that's the sort of action the crowd came to see, Keith. As things get back to a little bit of quiet again, we have Mike Nichols into the batter's box. Well, what action. Michael Nichols with the deep stare out towards the pitcher.
So the pressure really on Magan here, Gary. He's made a disappointing start, and I'm sure the Cardinals people will regard it as disappointing. Remember, he had to come from behind for both Wayne Nichols and John Joyce, and failed to do so, walked them both, and then allowed the big hit from Dennis Chain, which scored them both, and now has Chain on third.
Chain on third, indeed, with that mighty hit to right outfield, which Chain, being the batter that he is, really produces the goods when the pressure's on. 2-0 the score. That will be hard to catch. Again, Magan inclined to spray his deliveries out of the strike zone.
1 ball and 2 strikes against Mike Nichols. His brother Wayne has just scored, as well as John Joyce, to make it 2-0 to Miramar over Cardinals. Bottom of the first. Fouled off high over the back.
Well, the theory in softball is that the best batter in the team bats at number 4, the hope being that the early batters in the innings will get on base. Well, both of them did that with some fine picking of the balls and strikes to get on first and second. Up came the clunker, Dennis Chain, 2-0. Michael Nichols strikes out. First strikeout of the game that has been recorded by Magan.
So pressure still on Magan. That's 2 outs. John Lowe's still over there on third. And into the batter's box comes John Lowe's. Dennis Chain on third. And this is John Lowe's. Left-hander. Strike called.
Two outs. Strike. That was outside. John Lowe's decided not to swing at it, but that was in the strike zone. He struck out, so Magan finishes in much better style than when he started.
Well, I guess number 3, John Lowe's, be pretty happy to see that score at the end of the first innings, Gary.
Sure.
Miramar 2, Cardinals 0.
He's the player coach of the side, and he's a bit of a psychologist, as John Lowe's. He is a psychiatric nurse by occupation, and because there was such a small gap between the fixture between United and Miramar, which Miramar won to get into this final, I was in the dressing room writing the team down, and there was just the Miramar side there and yours truly. And did John Lowe's make with the words? Boy, he really told his team what it was all about and just what he expected of the Cardinals team and this of the Miramar team against Cardinals. He left no mistake as to what he was asking for. I can't repeat some of the words he said, but my word, did it fire up the Miramar team.
Well, it seems to have worked. The words of John Lowe's, and he'll be pleased, I'm sure, at that fine beginning where they took to the pitching of Magan and scored 2 runs. Top of the second innings, Mike White feeling a lot happier now. Of course, he's got the advantage of the fact that his team is 2 up on the board. Mark Sorensen is going to come into the batter's box. Looking at the statistics, we see that he's batting .400, Gary, batting 400 for the tournament, so he's in great form.
That's a great average, 400. It means every 10 times he comes to bat, he collects 4 safe hits. And let's bear in mind, this lad's only 16 years of age. He has much more maturity than those 16 years might indicate. And as we said yesterday, just having completed his school certificates, I couldn't say that yesterday either, Keith, school certificate examinations.
Try my trick.
Yeah. Well, there are those who say that Sorensen may well make the New Zealand team next year, and at 16 he'd certainly be the youngest for a long time.
Top of the second. Miramar having scored. Nichols and Joyce from a hit by Chain are in the lead. Number 1 is Mike White. Top of the second, Mark Sorensen in the batter's box.
There's Mark Sorensen, catcher for Cardinals, and a very strong swinger of the bat. Ball. Ball 1, strike 2. Michael White, who will not be wanting to drop behind and throw too many bad deliveries at these very strong Cardinals batters. There's the shot from centre outfield. That's staying in foul territory, but within the playing area. 1 down.
Wayne Nichols makes the catch, takes the out, and that's 1 down in the top of the second. So another man in good form coming into the batter's box, Cliff Joseph. In one of the televised games yesterday, we saw him hammer a ball out past the centre field. Batting well too, batting .375 in the tournament.
Michael White is ready. The umpire almost gets blown off his feet. Very blustery here at Fraser Park. It's in a very exposed area of the valley, and in a northerly, we know we've got wind.
Little bunt, but White across quickly to Andy Hamilton, who came from second base, and that is Cliff Joseph out. second out, top of the second.
Some pretty good combination in the Miramar field there, because the ball was bobbling loose and the first baseman for Miramar, John Lowe's, had covered the ground and covered it pretty quickly, and so he was out of position. And there's the fellow who made that out, and that, of course, is Andy Hamilton, brother of Marty Hamilton, who pitched in the earlier game today. Strike one.
Here's Brian Green in the batter's box.
Strike two. Bit of nonchalance about this Miramar team, Keith. They look as though they're, as they should be, of course, riding high. Ball one, strike two.
That's a hit straight across to John Joyce. The arm across to John Lowe's, and the out is taken. That retires Cardinals. So we now head for the bottom of the second with no change in the score. Still Miramar 2 up on Cardinals.
But have come back through the losers bracket to get into the final. And if Miramar win this, each team has one point.
There's the man with a few problems on his shoulders at the moment, knowing that he has conceded 2 runs at this early stage of the game. We're only into the bottom half of the second innings, the latter half, if you like, of the second innings. And Paul Magan has let 3 runners onto the bases, and now he's into the lesser batting abilities of this Miramar team. The batting order will be Paul Leonardis, Andy Hamilton, and then the pitcher Michael White will be the 3 batters who will come up in this innings.
That's a softball bat. If you hit that on the full, you score yourself just a cool $5,000. You can see me if you want any assistance.
Well, the tournament has had something of a charmed life as far as the weather is concerned. The rain has stayed away by and large. There's been the odd drop, but that's about all. Certainly not enough to stop the play.
So this is designated hitter Paul Leonardis. Strike called inside and over this plate from Paul Magan. Leonardis batting for Graham Kenny. That's 2 strikes. So Magan coming out in a seemingly much more positive frame of mind.
A lot of confidence from the batters, I must say. Oh, that hit him on the elbow. That will have hurt. Oh, look at the pain. Well, that may well have been in the strike zone, but certainly it hit him on the elbow, and the pain, you could almost feel it from up here. Leonardis is along to first base, the safety of first base. It'll be interesting to see whether he stays there or whether or not the umpire will bring him back. There's a bit of massage going on for him, and certainly he'll be needing every bit of that. Grant Miles providing the massage. There's a bit of ice on there, is it, Keith?
Well, they make great play about the speed these guys pitch, Gary. I don't suppose the game was called softball, but it's anything but at that speed, isn't it?
Well, that ball becoming in excess of 80 miles an hour, and certainly the ball is not soft. Andy Hamilton in the batter's box.
So the pressure is on pitcher Paul Magan again, with another man on the bases walked. Andy Hamilton, the second baseman, a left-hander. Bracing himself for the bunt, positioning himself for the bunt, not take it. Leonardis away to the right with the sore arm, is running the bases. So across to second, Leonardis out, so Hamilton gets to first. So the first out of the bottom of the second.
So Leonardis with the Cardinals team quite correctly taking the front runner to try and keep them as far away from home plate as possible. Better to have a runner safe on first than on second. And of course that keeps the forced play going, so tags aren't necessary on second base.
Here's the Miramar pitcher, Mike White. Bottom of the order. But as Gary Ward said before, they have such respect for his batting that they're not using him to be substituted as a batter. And there's Andy Hamilton across on first.
Michael White into the batter's box, the left-handed White, pitches right-handed, bats left. That's popped into easy territory if someone can get to it, and they can't. In close they were, expecting that Mike White would be bunting. I actually thought that Mike White was a right-handed batter. I think he's probably only bunting left-handed. We'll soon see if we get 2 strikes on him. But my memory of his batting is that he's a right-hander given normal circumstances, but there he goes into the left-hander's batter's box. There's the bunt. And he's done his job brilliantly. No one at home on third base. Here's the
Magan
bunt
on the
going
head.
to score. Wow. Here's his run down the ball. He's not running to the cup.
Well, remember, it was Mike White in the left-hander's batter's box bracing himself for the bunt. He made the bunt successfully, headed for first, and the throw beat him to first, so he was out. Then Hamilton set up from second to third. The throw across the centre of the diamond hit Magan, the pitcher, on the back of the head. And so Hamilton was able to come around third and head for home to make Miramar out now to a 3-0 lead over Cardinals.
3 runs to 0. The second innings has not yet been completed, and the top of the order man into the batter's box is Grant Miles. Strike. Miles really swinging hard at that one.
So what's the story now, Gary? They're sitting on a 3-0 lead. Will the message go out to hammer them home? More hits?
Well, I guess I'll be saying down there, show them no mercy, because if they let up, Cardinals is the sort of team that can easily come from behind.
There are 2 outs and now 2 strikes on Grant Miles. But Miramar have the lead on the board at 3-0 over Cardinals.
Foul ball. As I was saying before, Keith, once the ball starts running for you, everything happens in your direction. And here we had Andy Hamilton running from second to third, and he might have been out. I doubt it, though, on third base, but certainly Cardinals didn't deserve to have Andy Hamilton accidentally get in the way. He didn't know where the ball was coming from. It bobbles off in the wrong direction, and another run scores. Ends the innings with Grant Miles being struck out. 1 run has scored. 2 innings have been completed. Have they yet? Or has Grant Miles just gone to change his bat? It just makes it 2 outs, I think, does it? Just what is it? There's some confusion.
Yeah, they've realised it's 3 outs now. That's a bit surprising, Gary. We counted 3.
It had me confused. I thought I was wrong for a minute.
Well, they're always geeing each other up out there, telling them how many outs there are.
That would have been the second time this year I was wrong. 3 runs to 0. Miramar ahead of Cardinals, and Cardinals having to run from behind, and in this game of softball that is not easy to do.
Well, there are the Cardinals team in their dugout. Shortly Alan Taylor will come out.
Keith. quite often in a situation like this, Keith, when there's a 2-life area for the teams, you quite often find that the team that does in fact have to win 2 games, they start to run hot, they've got nothing to lose, and that's exactly what's happening here at the moment.
So top of the 3rd innings, here's Alan Taylor, the man that really puts tries to put the visual hex on the pitcher, really getting down to his work here. Facing Michael White.
Ball 1.
Taylor's been doing rather better with the bat in this tournament than his club average. Has an average of 222 here and only 100 in his club play.
Ball 1, strike 1. Number 1, Michael White. Strike. Looked a low one, but Taylor thought so also. Umpire Mulholland said, strike will do me. Ball 1, strike 2.
25-year-old Alan Taylor has the hit. Foster Joyce, Foster Lowe's, there's the out.
Good indication there, Keith, of the way John Joyce moves. It looked as though he had all the time in the world. Indeed, he did have all the time in the world, but only because he had moved as quickly as he did to his right, scooped the ball up, and then found himself with a lot of time to get the ball across the diamond to John Lowe's. That makes it 1 down in the top of the 3rd innings. Les Fakataka. Third base for Cardinals, batting at number 8 on the batting lineup. That's the slower one from White, the regular fast arm delivery, but releasing the ball somewhat slower so that the batter is fooled into thinking that the ball is going to scorch through, but in fact it comes through at about something less than 3/4 pace.